Hello, everyone. I think I'm live. Give me 1 second to get YouTube going. How are you all doing? I see people in chat already. That's exciting. Mute that. All right, there we go. Hi, how are you doing? Hi, Katnit, Nina, Leanne, Rosie, Susie, Chrissy, Lisa, Irwin. How are you? Sam, why are you not a mod? What happened? Are there two Samanthas? Oh, I see what that is. That must be. Is that Shasta? Hi, Shasta. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and having a good night. I just heard something beep. I don't know what that was. Was that my phone? That was a weird beep that I'm not used to hearing. I don't know what that was, but whatever. I'm excited for tonight's live stream. We got a lot to talk about, and I have a surprise for you. I'm doing 2 giveaways tonight, and I'll tell you how they're going to work in a minute. The first thing, we have a $40 gift card for Amazon that was sent to us by Sam Stonebrenner, one of the mods here, to celebrate the fact that we've cruised right past 4,000 subs. That's so exciting. It's happened so fast. So we're giving that back as a thank you to the community for being part in the adventure that we're undergoing with this case and this channel. So that'll be the first thing. The second thing, some of you might be interested, not all of you, is this. This is the new Morphe 35C palette. I just got it the other day. I'm giving it away because it's just not the colors that I need. They're gorgeous. I will open it and I will show you the colors later. But we're giving that away tonight. So there you go. There you go. The way the giveaways are going to work is we have 2 secret code words. The first person that says the first code word during the first half of tonight's live will win the $40 Amazon gift card. So if you're hoping for the palette, stay tuned for the second half. So there you go. Anyway, so mods, you all know what the first secret word is. That is now active. So let me know the first person that you see that says that first word phrase thing. There we go. So I keep saying there we go. Why do I keep saying that? I don't know. I've had a rough day. There's a lot going on and I'm tired and my brain a little melty. Let me get back to StreamYard so I can see. It was too bright there. Yeah, I'm still sick. I'm very sorry about that. I tried to catch that before I coughed into the mic. Very sorry. Please forgive me. I'll do better the rest of the stream. But I have had this cold, and it's not COVID. I promise. It's just a little cough with a runny nose, itchy eyes, very allergy-like, tickly throat, that kind of thing. Will not go away. I was feeling better the last 2 days, but today it came right back. So it just can't stop. Anyway, yeah, Kathleen, I don't look tired. Thank you very much for the compliment. I have a lot of concealer on. An awful lot of concealer. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Reese's Pieces. That's what we're calling our channel membership right now. Welcome, everyone, to the team. I'm so glad to have you here. Arla, I didn't get tested yet because I don't have a fever or any of the other standard symptoms. It's purely allergies because the itchy eyes and tickles and all that stuff, but it'll be okay. So let's talk about the case. It's been a week. I have a video up that I put up the other day about, I'm trying to look for it. The LDS Church released a memo basically stating that anyone who's a leader within a leadership role of the church, before they get involved in any sort of legal anything, they should contact the church's counsel, before they talk to anyone in law enforcement or associated with the courts or anything. And, we've known about that since, the 5th of the month, and it was like, interesting. But Mark Means, Lori Vallow's attorney, decided to put out a big 6-page long response. It's actually 5 pages in the cover letter. And whoo, boy, did he have a lot to say. And I thought it was very interesting. So I covered it in the video that I did earlier in the week. And the comments, I was surprised. People are very angry. Well, not everyone. Some people are very angry with me for saying, yeah, I kind of agree with what Mark Means said. But I don't think people generally understand what I said, and that's why they're angry with me. So I wanted to address that first. To everyone that's a practicing Mormon, a mainstream Mormon, part of the LDS Church, I welcome you here. I have defended the LDS Church insofar as they are not Chad and Lori since my very first video about this case. I will never sit here and say to you, Lori and Chad are LDS and all Mormons are crazy and da-da-da. I'm not saying that. I never have, and I never will. Okay? Chad and Lori's beliefs certainly went to the crazy town. They were Mormon at one point, and then they went crazy. Okay? So I get that. I really do. So please try to understand that's my position. Go back and watch all my videos on this case, and you'll see I have never said that the Mormon Church is responsible for these murders. I have never said that. All right. So let's get that really, really clear. Okay. One thing that we also do not do in our chat room is allow bashing of the Mormon faith. All right. We're not here to bash Mormons. We are not. The LDS Church, traditional mainstream Mormons, did not do this. Chad and Lori and their friends did this. Okay, so we need to keep that separate. All right, that's a big deal to me. We don't bash any religion here. All right, I'm not personally religious. A lot of people aren't, but a lot of people are, and that's wonderful. So let's keep that kind of chill in chat. I would really appreciate it. My mods would really appreciate it if we would tone down some of the anti-LDS rhetoric, because we don't want that here. The other thing about this LDS memo that came from President Nelson, Lisa Irwin says, the Constitution, we must uphold their rights to ensure a fair trial. 100%. And that's what my commentary about that memo is really about. It's very important to me that everyone in this country who's accused of anything has a fair trial. That may not be a popular opinion, but I would think that would be a popular opinion. Is it not? I believe in our justice system. Sure, they have a lot of flaws, and we need some overhaul and things like that. AG, welcome to the team. So glad to have you here. I'm very glad you joined. Give AG some s'mores. We got s'mores. Oh, we have a winner. All right. All right, Jessica Henthorn, you have won the $40 Amazon gift card. You said the secret code word. Excellent. So what you need to do is you need to send me an email so I can send you the gift card. All right. If you don't send me an email within 3 or 4 days, we'll just give it away again to someone else. So please send me an email. My email address is in the description of every video. So awinreesepodcast@gmail.com. So please send me an email and we'll get that to you tonight as soon as I get the email. So there you go. Excellent. I'm so glad, so excited we already got that done. I was like, what if nobody says our code word, the whole thing? What do we do? So, okay. So back to the topic. Yeah, we don't bash the Mormon Church here. We're not here to debate the merits or the foundation or the principles or dogmas, doctrines, and tenets of Mormonism. That's not what my channel's about. That's not even what the case is about. All right, so we got to keep that in mind. This case does involve the LDS Church only insofar as Chad, Lori, and their friends say that they are members of the LDS Church or may have been at one time. Some have been excommunicated, some have not, but they claim that they are LDS. I don't think they're LDS. The LDS Church doesn't think they're LDS. So please keep that in mind. These distinctions are very important, especially before you come at me in the comments, because that's getting a little old. All right, so let's focus on that. Now, yeah, the code word was any combination of Kay and Larry Woodcock. So either Kay Woodcock, Larry, or Kay and Larry, or the Woodcock, something like that. That was the first code word. So, yeah, the chat is coming up with a lot of really good code words. So Sam is taking note of them for the next giveaway. So we'll have some other good code words to use. All right. So the main thing about that memo that I was saying is that the LDS Church was really sticking their nose in somewhere where I don't think it should be stuck. Gemcat, welcome to Reese's Pieces. So glad to have you here. Give her some s'mores. S'mores are one of our channel member icons. Or emojis, I guess they're called emojis. I love s'mores, one of my favorite things. Throw some of those in chat. Thank you for joining, Gemcat. All right. I'm going to ignore chat for a minute just so I can stay on this topic because I keep getting distracted with chat and forgetting what I'm talking about. Now, when the LDS Church comes out with a memo and says, if you're going to any sort of criminal, legal, whatever, you have to contact our counsel first. That's a problem. That is a big problem. And I'll tell you why I think it's a problem, because I guess I wasn't clear in my last video. Because if you're involved in any sort of criminal thing, you should have a lawyer. Absolutely. We know in the true crime community, you don't sit down with, a jaywalking ticket for an interview without a lawyer next to you. Don't ever do it. Okay? Even if you're as innocent as the pure driven snow, as innocent as the newly fallen snow. Yeah. Make sure you have a lawyer. Period. Okay. We all know that. This is, how it works. So I get that, people are saying, oh, well, the church just wants to make sure they have lawyers. No, that's not what they're doing. If you get a lawyer, you hire an attorney, and that attorney works for you. Their job is to protect your rights and your best interests, right? That's what you pay them for. If you go to the LDS Church's counsel, guess who they work for? They do not work for you. They work for the LDS Church. They're not there to protect your interests. They're there to protect the LDS Church. That is a huge difference that cannot be overlooked. Okay. Now, I have to cough. I'm going to do the right thing and turn off the mic. Okay, good. That was quick. Sam, thank you so much for the super chat. Give Sam some s'mores. Oh, Sam, you need all the s'mores. Yay. Thank you. All right. So my main issue with this memo was that it might tell some people who don't understand maybe how the justice system works that you call the LDS Church Council. Oh, great. The church will give me a free lawyer. Yay. No, that's not what's happening. If you're involved in this case, if you're being called as a witness, or if they want to subpoena you, or if you need to do a deposition, anything like that, you need your own personal lawyer. Okay, that lawyer will protect you, not the church. The church has its own lawyers to protect itself, but that's why this was such a problem for me. And it's also why it's such a problem for Mark Means. For some reason. Now, it can be said that Mark Means coming at this maybe not be the smartest thing he could do, right? Because certainly this could be used later on, maybe for grounds for mistrial. Who knows? This could come up later on and maybe even help him get Lori off on the charges, right? But he's coming at it now from a very principled point of view. This could impede their ability to have a fair trial, right? I agree with that 100%. And I think that's a very principled stance. I was kind of proud of Mark Means for that. Do I think it's the smartest thing a cutthroat defense attorney should be doing? Absolutely not. Not at all. But, I appreciate this sort of principled nature behind it, assuming that's what his motivation is. So please understand, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people in chat tonight who have been leaving some of those comments, that what I'm saying, I'm not talking about the religion at all. I'm talking about the legal ramifications of someone having an LDS church lawyer to talk to as opposed to their own personal lawyer. I think there's a giant difference between the two, and maybe that's not clear to a lot of people how important that is. So that was my biggest problem with the memo. Sandy Lee, keto snacks. You know what? I'm going to make some kind of, maybe how about buffalo wings? Those are keto friendly. We will make some keto snack icons. Don't let me forget, mods. We need keto snacks on the channel. So I will do that. Rosie, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, look at the pretty flowers. Thank you, Rosie. I hope you're doing really well. I know I haven't talked to you in the last day or two, but we will catch up. So yeah, I took a lot of flack about my stance on that. Someone even said, Awen, I've lost a lot of respect for you after this video. And a lot of others have too. You have so many dislikes. And I'm like, what I'm saying is that the right to a fair trial is the most important thing that's happening here. And I want to see justice for JJ and Tylee and all of the others as well. And I think this memo could put that in jeopardy. And that's a big problem. Why are we not sharing that same sentiment? But I realize there's a lot of defensiveness in that community. But I just want it stated very clearly. I am not coming at the Mormon faith because of the faith. I'm coming at President Russell M. Nelson for releasing this memo at a critical juncture in the search for justice for JJ and Tylee. I don't think that's very cool at all. So there you go. I hope that was clear. I hope it makes sense. We'll see what the comments leave. But I have something really funny for you tonight. Okay. Now, generally, I don't try to do comedy. I don't think of myself as a comedian by any sense of the imagination. But I found something on the internet that has just cracked me up for 2 days straight. The mod team, that's all we can talk about. Everyone in Discord is just having a grand old time with this. So I'm going to bring it to you because why not? I do have to share my screen, so I have to bring it up. But let me take a look at chat actually for a bit. I have missed chat before we do the funny thing. Gary Gagnon says, the church needs a lawyer. They are sending out the wrong message to their followers. Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. The LDS letter helps Mark Means. He is just playing coy. That could absolutely be true. The letter does help Mark Means. It really does. So he could be just, bluffering his way through it, or blustering rather. Hot Scorpio, how are you? Tara H, nice to see you again. I hope you're doing well. Sorry to hear that, Awen. You were very clear in a way. I hope. Okay, good. I'm glad you thought that was clear, because I don't want anyone to think I'm bashing their faith. I wouldn't do that. The church has to excommunicate all members involved to save face. Rosina, I'm surprised they haven't, really. Honestly. So, yeah, I expect to see that at some point. Cindy Lee's a professional clown. We love something funny. Good, because this is really funny. Let me find this. There was a post the other day in a Facebook group that I've talked about and loved, the True Crime Underground. There should be a link in the description. There might be. If not, I can add one after the stream. But it's called True Crime I can speak. True Crime Underground on Facebook. It's the only Facebook group I'm in as far as true crime cases go, and I love it. And there was a post there that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Now, I have an image of it. I took out all the names and everything because although I don't think this is a real person, I think it's a comedy account. It could maybe be a real person, so just in case, we took the name out. Let me share the screen, and I'm going to read it to you in my most perfect voice. Is that it? Can you see it on the screen? Let me go to YouTube. I have to wait for it to come up, so I just want to make sure you can see it. And there's a lag from YouTube. There we go. Okay, here we go. You ready? I read that Tammy was poisoned with pumpkin soup. Very easy to do. Just recently, evil Etta almost killed me. Harold and the others' prayers still needed. She brought flagrant chicken salad laced with salmonella onions right into church. It was very scary near-death experience. For me, lucid dreams on the commode. I think Lori could have maybe set her up similar to this. Others agree this would be a good way to kill without raising suspicions and pretending it was an accident. Maybe others had poisoned Stu as well. Alex and his fast bride, many others over time have been poisoned. And any reports of end-of-life lucid dreams, maybe they took things to bring on the visions and also used to kill best wishes. I'm not reading that again. But I read that and I about fell off my chair. So I'm like, do what? I think I read it about 100 times trying to figure out what's going on here. And I'm like, oh, okay, this has got to be somebody just being funny, right? Right. No, Randa, that is an exact screenshot. So there is no punctuation. That's a screenshot, not a retyping. So, yeah. So I look at this post and I'm like, that can't be. It can't be real. Let me go to this person's Facebook page, right? And see, because maybe they're just being funny. And I look on their Facebook page and this is what I see. Okay. Come on. YouTube, come on, catch up. I was wrong and incorrect. Friends saw 43 states have salmonella onions. Etta tried to kill everyone with her flagrant chicken salad. Still need prayers. Very little for Harold and others to Barb. You're kidding, right? right? All right. Flagrant chicken salad, salmonella. I get the salmonella onions because there was a recall recently of red onions that were tainted with salmonella, right? And I'm like, okay, I can see that, but certainly the wording and grammar is pretty hilarious. But still, I'm thinking, yeah, this has got to be a joke until I find the last post, which is the best. Honestly, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Here we go. I made for church yesterday. Very good to me. I'm sorry to Harold and to others who got very bad trots. My advice to people who took home, if you feel any knocking, stay home. Very bad situation for some. Please lift sick ones up in healing prayer. Amen. I am sorry. Please forgive Barb. So I'm thinking about all this, and I'm like, okay. The other day, this person made some jalapeno poppers that look delicious. I don't know if that's her own picture, but they look fantastic. And that gave poor Harold the trots. And people may have took these poppers home with them, and she was warning them, maybe you don't want to eat them. It's dangerous. You're going to get the trots. And then you see the other post about she's yelling about Etta, who tried to kill people with the flagrant chicken salad and the salmonella onions. And poor Harold is just having a week of it, isn't he? Poor Harold, first the peppers and now the flagrant chicken salad. And I just can't. My goodness, poor Harold. The the only victim in this is Harold. And we do give our heartfelt prayers to Harold for his trots. So I don't know if that's a real account. I think it's a funny parody account. If it is, it's comedic genius. It had us in stitches for hours and hours. Little Lady Di, thank you so much for the super chat. I love that sticker. Yeah, I have been laughing really, really hard about that. But poor Harold, I hope he gets better. and he is the innocent victim in all of this. So, I thought that might be one of the highlights of my week as far as comedy. But guys, we got something to talk about. My poor mods. Please give a big round of thank you to the mods because they have to deal with me going through some of this stuff. I have been reading Melanie Gibb's book, Feel the Fire. Because I have very strong opinions about Melanie Gibb. And I wanted to read her book because if I'm going to know her, certainly reading this book would give me some valuable insight, right? Right? This book has given me something. I don't know if I'm going to call it valuable insight, but yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I am putting together a very formal book review type video so we can talk about a lot of the red flags that are in the book. There's a lot to talk about with this book. There really is. But I also have to blow off a little steam about this book because I don't want to just make fun of the book, but have any of you guys read it? All right, so let's talk about the first two chapters. First, my assessment of them is that what they show is one of Melanie's biggest focuses in life, not just in what we've seen in this case, but in life in general, is to be known as a teacher, a leader, a healer, someone who, as she says, how you meet someone who just radiates so much light and this positivity and you gravitate to them and you want to be around them and you want to ask, how do you do it? When you meet people like that, Melanie wants to be that person. That's her goal. And she expresses that quite clearly. Sandy Lee, welcome to the team. I'm so glad to have you here. Awesome. Thank you. Give her some s'mores. Elena, we're talking about Feel the Fire by Melanie Gibb. This was written in 2019. So there was some confusion. This was written before any of this happened. Okay. So, or certainly around the time that this was happening. But she didn't just write it now to make money off the case. So don't think that. But she wants very much to be the light. She wants to be the person that people flock to for spiritual advice and wisdom and enlightenment. She wants to be sort of a Buddha of LDS world type thing. And I'm thinking, all right there, that's a problem for me psychologically. I'm like, that's not okay. But we'll just make a note of that and pack that away for later. And that's pretty much what the first 2 chapters about. She talks about an experience that she had where she went into a camping goods store, and there was a man there looking at the hat rack. And she said something to the man, and she said, "God loves you," or something. And he said, like, "No, I don't believe in God." And Melanie said, "Yes, you do." He said, "No, I don't." And she said, "Yes, you do." And he said, "No, I don't." And then she types in all caps in the book, "Yes, you do." Like, she screamed at him. And he was like, "Okay, lady." And the story is how by the end of their conversation, she convinced him that God loved him too. And on his way out the store, he said, "I love you." And she said, "I love you too." And that was the best experience she's ever had, because she was able to touch someone and change their heart and bring the light to them. And I'm like, I went to the Salvation Army thrift store a couple months ago because I was looking for an ottoman. And while I was shopping the furniture, some crazy looking person came in and told me God loved me. And I was like, I'm out of here, because he was very scary looking. So yeah, I don't think that's such a great experience, but this is what she's looking for. That's what she wants. She wants to go out in the world and just like randomly lay hands on people, because she said she put her hand on that man's heart. So she wants to randomly lay hands on people and give them spiritual experiences. I'm like, Jesus might have something to say about that. Maybe, just thinking. So that's what the whole first couple chapters are about. And I'm thinking that's not okay. That's not okay. There are psychological terms for that. So that's where we start off with the book. But then I also have to look at the grammar of the book. This book was not edited, clearly. I don't know who published it. It was not done by Chad's publishing company. There's no publisher listed. There is an ISBN number, but there's no publisher. There's not Library of Congress registered, anything like that. Let me cough 1 second. So I do not know who published the book. All right, I just know that it has been published. But the grammar is definitely a grade school level, and I'm not making fun of her. I'm not being mean to her. I'm saying, in all honesty, there's very little grammatical structure to her sentences, almost to the point where I was like, did she really write this, or maybe did her kid write it or something? I don't know. But she explains that pretty early on in the book. She said she grew up in a very dysfunctional family and had a very poor education. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that. You don't get to pick when you're in grammar school where you go to school and all that stuff. You're a product of your situation at that age. So, okay. Even though she wrote this much, much, much later in life. But it's very bad. The grammar is very, very bad. It was very painful to read. And many times you have to read a sentence a couple of times to try and figure out exactly what she's saying. The typos are everywhere. It's just bad. So I'm like, all right, now there's that. So we have this seeking to be a spiritual leader type giver of great experiences. And then we have a lack of solid education, right? And then we get into the meat of what's going on. I'm flipping through my flashcard notes here to see the stuff that I wanted to bring to you for this early review. Yeah, one of the most disturbing things of the early chapter was when she talks about starting her spiritual journey. All right, she wants to have her own great spiritual experience, like an awakening or an epiphany sort of event, and she's not sure how to make this happen. So the first thing she does is decide to address some issues with her family. She's having a lot of trouble with her husband, a lot of trouble with her children. She's very angry all the time. And she says in the book, she eventually started taking parenting classes to learn how to control my kids. I know you are laughing right now. I'm not laughing, Melanie. But after taking that same 6-week course over and over for a year and a half, I finally realized that it was me that needed to learn how to cope. And I'm like, all right. So first she took the same 6-week course over and over for a year and a half. Okay. But she was at least trying something. Okay. So I definitely give her credit for that. But it didn't seem to work. It didn't seem to help her. So she decided to turn to prayer instead. Okay. I can see that. But she says that she would read scripture for 2 hours in the day or in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, and pray for 2 hours every afternoon in her closet for 3 months. I don't understand the closet thing. However, it did make me remember in her interview with Nate Eaton when she's trying to describe to him what the portal thing is between Chad and Lori, and she says, well, it's not a portal as such. It's just a place in Lori's closet where she could sit and focus on Chad. So what has these people got with the closets? And why was Melanie Gibb in a closet for 3 months? I don't know. But it's 6 hours a day, Tara. Instead of parenting, she's in a closet praying and reading scripture for 6 hours a day. But one of the funniest things in this whole book that I've read so far, and there are quite a few. I'm trying to find the exact quote. I don't want to misquote it because it was just too perfect, but I may have to because I did not put these in order. All right. Basically, she says, let me close that. And I spent 3 months in my closet praying and reading scripture, and I complained about being in the closet for 3 months until finally I found just the right scripture. And I'm hearing a certain someone in my ear going, oh, what scripture was that? Was it Door Locus 7:15 saying, open the door and leave, you dumbass? Was that the scripture you found after sitting in your closet for 3 months that changed your life? Really? Really? Good grief. Good grief. I found some scripture that told me how to get out of the closet after kneeling in there for 3 months praying. And so this is what I'm trying to deal with. I'm trying to read the book to get a more clear psychological analysis of Melanie Gibb. Where is she coming from? What made her who she is? What made her fall prey to these stories and crazy belief systems? And all I'm seeing is I was in the closet for 3 months and I was complaining about it. Guys, what do you want me to do with this book? How am I supposed to do this? To take it seriously and bring it to you in a way that's serious and helpful and makes us understand her more. It's so far out there. It's so far out there that I can't even. But I'm going to try. I'll go back to it. I'm taking a day off from it because it's a bit much, but no, Elena, we can't share the book. You can buy it if you really want to. It is on Amazon, called Feel the Fire by Melanie Gibb. I will have the video up in the next day or two, an actual formal review. We'll go through the chapters and, some of the red flags and some of the things. And I will keep comedy out of it because I'm not trying to be funny, but it's very hard to do that. It really is because, baby, there's some stuff in here. But there are some very important, serious points in the book, like the issue she has with her ex-husband and her children and parenting as a whole and all kinds of things like that, where when you read this book, you suddenly can understand why the Chad and Lori thing was very attractive to her. It makes a lot of sense. So, there is a good thing. Sandy, why don't I invite her ex-husband on as a guest? Because I don't interview people involved with cases. That is never something I will do because you could inadvertently impact the case or the investigation. I don't want to do that. Maybe after the trial, sure, but not while it's ongoing. I'd rather buy some of that lady's dodgy chicken food and get the runs. Yeah, Miss V. Lassie. If you buy the book, you get both. How's that? You get both, yeah. So it's been an interesting run with this book, for sure. Now, as you know, I do a lot of work with narcissism and abuse and recovery from narcissistic abuse. And I see a lot of that with Melanie Gibb, certainly as far as Lori Vallow is concerned. I think Melanie was highly manipulated. She was gaslit and lied to and deceived and all the things that she says. Although I'm very unhappy that she hasn't really taken a lot of accountability for that, you know. But I can empathize with Melanie Gibb. I genuinely can. So I don't hate her at all. I think she's very misguided and she has a long way to go to reach that level of accountability that I'd like to see. But maybe she's working on it. We don't know. So, but I want to understand her more. I really want to be able to get inside her head and see what's going on. And I hope she does the right thing. And I really hope she gets a lawyer. Melanie, you need a lawyer. So I'm not reading her book to make fun of her. I'm reading it to understand her, to be able to express my empathy for her in a way that's productive and useful and help us gain a little insight into this case, because Melanie Gibb was very, 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 very much involved with Chad and Lori and their beliefs. And after everything I've seen the last couple of weeks, I would say Melanie Gibb believed their beliefs more than they did even. And that's a whole nother conversation. And I'll explain that when we get there. But, I really think that Melanie believed very strongly a lot of the things that they were teaching. So anyway, we'll get to Melanie Gibb. So that's what I've been doing a lot this week. Really working on this book about Melanie. Really, I had to really dive into the LDS memo and what I thought about it. So, it took more time to do that video than I wanted. I wanted to get it up immediately because agreeing with Mark Means was another shocking moment in my life. Who would have thought at some point I'd be like, yeah, you go Mark Means. I didn't see that coming. So that was strange. Very strange. Lori Bravo asks, do we know who's been excommunicated? Now, there are rumors everywhere, every 6 ways from Sunday. The only person that we can verify factually was excommunicated is Julie Rowe, of the names that we know. There are a lot of people that say Chad was excommunicated. There are a lot of people that say he wasn't. There are a lot of people that talk about some of the other preparing a people type people being excommunicated, and those people say they weren't. So there's no evidence, like there's no document I can show you that say Chad was excommunicated. But then again, that doesn't mean there isn't one. Just means it's not available to us. If I don't think I'm going to call any, local bishop of the Mormon church and ask them and get a straight answer. I don't think they're going to tell me that. I wish, but that'll probably come out at trial. The only way to verify that information, Liz, would be through the Mormon church. And I think they're pretty tight-lipped about that. So, I've seen a lot, you guys know that I read the Avow forums pretty regularly. And even there, these are people who are involved, some more tangentially than others, with the church. But even they can't agree whether Chad was excommunicated or not. Okay, and these are people that actually knew him in real life. So some say yes, some say no. So there you go. It's one of those things. Yeah, we're still working on it. Sam is definitely working on it. If we can verify that for sure, we will. I tend to think he might have been. I would be surprised if he wasn't, but there's no way I can verify it. So, Lloyd Bravo says Chad's lawyer was making a big deal about who is in the LDS. Yes, he was. He absolutely was, but maybe not for the reasons we think. I think that he was doing that because he wants to come out and say, as the defense, Chad was an upstanding guy. He was a member of the LDS church in good standing. He went to temple every whatever. I think he wants to tie them to the LDS church to sort of alleviate some of the responsibility for their beliefs, right? To make Chad and Lori look not so crazy. They can't be these crazy people. They didn't believe in zombies. They were good Mormons. That's why I think Pryor is doing that. Okay, I don't think he's being a friend to anybody, but that's what I think is happening. Liz Larson says Eric Smith, who is Julie Rowe's publisher, Julie Rowe's manager, her sidekick, he's been excommunicated. Okay. Julie Rowe is excommunicated because the Mormon Church said she was practicing priestcraft on her blogs and websites, whatever they deem as practicing priestcraft. She also wrote a book, but I have to cough. Hold on a minute. One of her first books that she wrote was very well received within the Mormon community, and it was very well liked. However, the Mormon Church actually issued a statement saying to all of their teachers and seminary and stuff like that, you are not allowed to use Julie Rowe's books in your teachings because they do not represent the doctrine of the church. So that happened, and then she was excommunicated later. So that's what we know. We do have actual formal statements on that. So yeah, energy healing equals priestcraft or some such something. You forgot who Julie Rowe is? She's only sort of lightly connected to the whole mess. She was friends with Chad. She was a speaker for Preparing a People at a few of their events, not as many as Chad and some of the others. But she does a lot of podcasts from her car. I don't know. She likes talking in the car. She's an energy healer or something. She is the one who went on Nancy Grace and said that she thinks Chad killed Tammy with an invisible poison spirit energy weapon. And she goes, I know this sounds crazy, but I speak the truth. I speak only the truth. He had an invisible poison spirit energy weapon. And of course, Nancy Grace is just making her face with the weird eyeballs. Like, what? But yeah, that's Julie Rowe. She's fun. I was told that Julie Rowe was ex because she was holding energy sessions at the church. That's possible, early riser. The only statement that I've seen, the formal official statement, was the one released by the LDS Church, saying that it was because of priestcraft, performing priestcraft on her blogs and podcasts. So, I can't imagine they'd appreciate any of that. Oh, yeah, Andrew, you have to see it. You should be able to find the Nancy Grace Julie Rowe interview on YouTube. It's something to see. It's something to see. Yes, Julie Rowe also, before Chad was arrested earlier this year, she was all over everywhere defending him. He was the next Messiah as far as she was concerned. The day he got arrested, though, she changes her story to he was a sexual predator. He hit on her. He said that she was one of his wives in a past life and all this stuff. And she's crying on Nancy Grace about how horrible he was. And I'm just like, really? So yeah, that's Julie Rowe. Can non-Mormons attend a service in temple? I do not think so. No, I think even if you are a member of the Mormon Church, you can't automatically go into temple. You have to get a temple recommend from your bishop. You have to be a member in good standing. I believe your tithes all have to be up to date. All this kind of stuff. You have to wear special garments into the temple and things like that. You don't just walk into a Mormon temple. Not at all. So I definitely do not think non-Mormons can attend a service in a temple. I don't know how that works. I would think maybe for a marriage ceremony, but you can't even be sealed, have a sealing ceremony in the Mormon temple without temple recommend. So I don't know if they'd let family into witness or not. We will have to ask someone. You have to go to temple class. Yep. Yeah, it's very complicated to get into Mormon temple. It's not just a thing. Nancy Grace stayed mostly quiet and let Julie do. Yeah, she did. Oh, goodness. How do they have time to work between marathon prayer sessions? No wonder they go after life insurance. Chrissy, that's a point. I was running 6 hours a day for 3 months. That's a lot of time. That's kind of like a full-time job almost. So that was weird. When a new temple opened here, they opened for a couple of days to civilians. Yep, Lori Bravo, they did that too. When my mother was in the Mormon Church, they had opened the temple in Washington, D.C., I think. Pretty sure it was Washington, D.C., because she got to go to it before it was all consecrated, and then only, temple recommends people could go in. So she did get to see one of the temples. I'm pretty sure it was D.C. Oh, now I got to ask her because now I'm confused. But yeah, as soon as it was finished being built, they let people go in and see some areas. She couldn't go to every area, but she could go to some areas. And she said it was gorgeous. So yeah. That timing makes sense for, does it? Okay, good. Excellent. Yeah, because I remember we used to drive by the temple, and my mom said, "Oh, I've been there." I'm pretty sure that was DC. I don't remember being in Utah. Certainly that was a lot older. So yeah, it must be that. Let's see what's going on. Moroni gave the golden place to Joseph Smith on 9/22. Possible. Um, I mean, never mind. Sorry. I'm biting my own tongue on that. You can attend regular church meetings and activities. Okay. I'm going to rein chat back a little bit because we're not really here to discuss Mormonism. We don't need to break down the religion. We don't need to explain how it works and all of that. And unfortunately, I got sucked into the conversation because I do love learning about religions and things. But that's not really the point of our live chat or of the channel. So let's rein it back in a little bit. Let's talk about the case. Let's talk about the case at hand. Someone, I saw the name go, Ace and J Almay sealed Chad and Lori in the temple. Sandy, that's still up for debate. Some say that he sealed them in a ceremony he made up out in the woods. Some say it was in the temple. We don't know for sure. Still, that's a very hearsay kind of rumor. We haven't affirmed that yet. So, it doesn't seem to be up for debate that he did do a sealing ceremony for them. Whether that was valid through the church, I don't think so, but who knows? What will happen at the arraignments? All right, the arraignments are coming up. That's a good question. On the 21st, we have Chad's arraignment. He will be before Judge Boyce in Fremont County to face the 4 charges against him: 2 charges of conspiracy to destroy and conceal evidence, and 2 charges of destruction and concealment of evidence. So 2 charges of actually doing it and 2 charges of conspiracy to do it. Those charges will be heard by the judge. They might try to do a bond reduction, the typical stuff you're going to see at an arraignment. And then Judge Boyce will schedule pretrial hearings and stuff and set a date for trial. So that's happening for Chad on the 21st. The same thing is happening for Lori on the 27th, but she has the 2 conspiracy to conceal or destroy evidence charges. Forget the name of her judge. I'll have to look it up. The documents are in Discord, so you can see the dates and stuff for her arraignment. That's it. They could add charges. I don't think they would add them at the arraignment. They would add them before, and those charges could either be grouped in, or they could have to have a second arraignment on the new charges, things like that. But this is just for their new district court judges, because remember now, after the prelims, even though Lori canceled hers, their case goes now to district court to get ready for the actual trials. So that's what's happening at the arraignments. About how long will the arraignment go on for? These are generally short. Yeah, it is. I say that now. Mark Means sometimes can get rolling. One of the hearings that we heard Mark Means that took over 3.5 hours, and that should have been a 20-minute hearing. So I'm going to say they should be 20 minutes or so, but given Means and Pryor, they could be hours. We'll have to see. I do not know if these are going to be televised. I'm assuming they will be. Arraignments typically are. If they are, I'll bring them to you live. If they're not, we'll have to wait for somebody to post them, and then we'll talk about them. So plan on a live stream on the 21st for Chad's thing. As soon as I find out more about that, I will bring that to you. Yes, the Morphe palette. Yep. All right, let me do the Morphe palette, and Sandy Lee, I'll answer your question about the charges from Chandler, Arizona. All right, I have here this. I'm going to switch to StreamYard so I can see what I'm doing on camera. This is the new Morphe 35C palette. I am not affiliated with Morphe. I'm not getting money from Morphe for doing this. This is just something I love, and I want to share it with you. So we're doing a giveaway for this. The second secret word is now in play mods. Whoever says it, this is what you get. If you do not want a palette, okay, if you're not into makeup and eyeshadow, just let us know, and we will pass it down to someone who actually really wants it. Now, this is... Ooh, that lighting is not good. Let me move this. It's not going to... There's a little bit better. These are the colors of the palette. It's really pretty. Now, I'm going to say one thing. I did swatch these 2 colors, the dark green and the pink. I did use hand sanitizer before I did that because my husband had just brought it in from outside, and I wanted to make sure my hands were clean. So there are 2 colors that have been swatched. I have not used it. I haven't put any makeup on anything, but I wanted to swatch those. So if that's a problem for you, I'm sorry, just let me know. And next time, I definitely won't swatch a palette for a giveaway. But in swatching it, I realized that this is probably not a color palette that I need because I have a lot of palettes. Many of them thanks to Jess Nelson. But it is a gorgeous palette. It's a great beginner palette, I think, because the colors are not too heavily pigmented. They're easily blendable. So it'd be great for somebody who's beginning and maybe needs a lot of eyeshadows to get going. So go back to YouTube. All right, so that palette is in play. Whoever says the magic word, the magic phrase, the mods will let me know. You will have to send me your real address. Okay, that's something that that's kind of an issue for me because I always tell people, do not give out your real address on the internet. I don't care who it is, don't do it. But if you want the palette, I gotta know where to send it. Sorry, that's how it's gonna work. But I will be the only one that knows that information. So let's see. Sam, I'm definitely not calling Sam a beginner when it comes to makeup. Not at all. Does Lori have to appear in person? She can waive her appearance if she wants to, and just her lawyer can go and represent her. So we'll find out if she does that or not. We have a winner already. All right. Lois Melander. Lois, this will be yours if you want it. If you don't like makeup, you certainly don't have to accept it, or you can gift it to someone else. So what I need you to do is send me an email, all right, at awinreespodcast@gmail.com with your name and information, and I will put that in the mail to you Monday morning. And then as soon as I get tracking info, I'll make sure you have that to make sure it gets to you safe and sound. So thank you so much for playing. I'm glad you won. Excellent. All right. All right, so there we have 2 great gifts giveaway. Guys, please make sure you email me. I would hate to see you not get your prizes. So I am in the lower United States. I'm in Texas. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the U.S. Anyway. So, not too much happened in the case outside of the LDS memo. I do believe, I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard from John Pryor yet. I'm not sure if he's thinking, Mark Means, what did you do? You shouldn't have done that. Or if he's thinking, I got to do something too. We're going to have to see what happens. How do you find out the word? Deborah, people don't find out the word. I mean, we could tell it now, but the mod team just decides the word behind the scenes before we go live. So they're already pre-picked, and the mods know to watch for those particular phrases. So Colby Ryan was the second word. Today we decided to pick family members. So the first person that mentioned, jeez Louise, I'm tired. The first person that mentioned Kay and Larry, and the first person that mentioned Colby. Those were our 2 words. So there you go. It is a stunning palette for all levels of application. Yes, I know I'm underselling it a little bit. But Sam did do a couple looks with it, and they were absolutely stunning and gorgeous. So you can see swatches of all the colors on Morphe's Twitter account, and that's why I bought it, because I was like, that's beautiful. And it is beautiful. It's just very, very, very similar to a lot of other stuff I have. So there you go. Orly says Mark Mean should not have sent the letter. Yeah, from a defense attorney point of view, not that I'm a defense attorney, I wouldn't have sent that letter. But from a person interested in justice point of view, I absolutely agree with that letter. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, that distinction? Whereas I don't think he's doing his client a lot of favors by sending that letter. But yeah, I really think that the Mormon church should not have sent that letter too. These people got to stop sending letters. Let the court do its thing. Stop sticking your nose in. How's that? That's probably a much safer perspective for me to take on this. Everybody, stop sending letters. Stop it. All right, so what's coming up this week? Today is Sunday. There are no hearings scheduled this week that I know of. The next big thing, we have August 21st and August 27th for Chad and Lori's arraignments. September 8th for Letitia Stauch's hearing. That's going to be something. That hearing, if it's televised, will be about her competency hearing that she had, the evaluation at the hospital. We'll get to hear about that. I don't really think that's going to be televised. I don't. If it is, I'll bring it to you, but we may have to wait for word on that. You didn't know Means were... Oh, Grace, Naomi, you have missed it. You have missed it. There's a video up from the other night that I did. Means wrote a 4-page letter, total of 6 pages, but whatever. A 4-page letter in response to the LDS memo saying that all of its leaders needed to contact the church council before getting involved in a criminal proceeding. So you got to read it. You got to read that letter. It's very good. Very interesting. So Orly is an attorney, not a defense, but still don't think it was necessary. Orly, yeah, because I agree with you, because that letter, that wasn't filed, that wasn't a court filing, that wasn't a motion or anything. That was just him saying what he thought about the letter. To who? As like a press release. I don't think press releases are a very good idea in a case like this. He didn't need to send that letter to anybody unless he was going to file something with the court, which that's not what that was. So yeah, I agree with you. He probably should not have sent that letter. Yep. But I still agree with it. I agree with the content of the letter, not the fact that he sent it. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, Grace. Yep, I did too. But even Mark Mean says in his response, the memo from the LDS Church, from the Office of the First Presidency, which are actually 3 men, not just Russell M. Nelson, but that memo in and of itself wasn't too bad. And Mark Mean said the memo itself didn't warrant a response. However, earlier, or a couple days after that, Fox 13 News, Alex Herbitz, I trip over that, Herbitz, Herbets, Alex Herbitz, Adam Herbitz. Guys, I need a Starbucks stat. Adam Herbitz of Fox 13 News was doing a story about that memo that came out. And he reached out to a spokesperson for the LDS Church to clarify that memo. And he asked him some questions. And that spokesperson said some things that made Mark Means be like, oh no, you didn't, And, Adam asked him, well, what if they get a subpoena? And the spokesman said, oh, well, we don't talk about that. It's like, oh, dude, you're a church. You cannot circumvent the process of law. That's not how this works. So the fact that the spokesperson did not come out and say, of course, we're not going to get in the way of a subpoena, made Mark Means take note and be like, I got to address this. So, yeah, the memo itself might not have been that bad, but the spokesperson's comments made it a much bigger problem than it was. So that was kind of a big deal. None of the other members would even admit they veered away from the mainstream doctrine or LDS. As Melanie said, it wasn't something you talk about in the church. It's secret. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, that's another very a common comment that I get is, especially when I'm talking about my coverage of Melanie Gibb's cross-examination on the stand for Chad's preliminary hearing. I am not saying that Chad and Lori were mainstream LDS. I'm not saying that. I have never said that. Go back through all of my videos since the first one about this case months ago. I have never, ever, ever said that Chad and Lori were mainstream LDS. Okay, I said that they were at one point in their lives, which is true. They were both mainstream LDS at some point. But towards this case and towards the end of their stuff, they were not mainstream. They were crazy town, right? Mormons do not believe in zombies. They don't believe in multiple probations and portals, and they don't, okay? Chad and Lori are not mainstream LDS now. They were at some point, right? And I've made that distinction very, very clear. So just to be on record. But when it comes to Melanie Gibb is the one who said under oath on the stand that Chad and Lori and herself were all mainstream LDS members of the church. So she said that, not me. Go be mad at her. Go yell at Melanie. Don't be yelling at me. I never said that. Okay, so just so that's on record. And I am going to timestamp this. So the next person that yells at me in a comment saying I said they're LDS, I will point you right back to this moment in time so you can see me clarify. There you go. Oh. Is a portal the same as the other side of the veil? No. Rebbe, all right, let's talk about the veil. Because this is something that's not relegated to the world of LDS, and Chad and Lori and everything else. The veil, you'll hear a lot of things say from beyond the veil or from behind the veil or through the veil. Certainly certain religions around autumn will say the veil is thin, and they're talking about the veil between the worlds. In theology from all over the world and all throughout history, many people have believed and theorized and philosophized that there is a veil that separates the world of the living from the world of the spirit, the world of those who have passed on. And the veil is like a fabric, an unseen fabric or a sheet that separates the two worlds. Okay, if that makes sense. So whenever they talk about somebody going beyond the veil or learning information from behind the veil, means they're communicating with the spirit realm. That's what that means. Now, a lot of religions have this in some form or other in their theology, including Mormonism, including paganism, including Christianity. A lot of religions have a form of this veil. So that's what that is. Now, the portal is different. The portal, Melanie explained it to Nate as just not really a portal. It's just a place where you sit and focus your energy. Like if you really want to sit and think about Chad. Chad. Sour cream, bacon, chives, baked potatoes. Yeah, see, you want to sit and think about carbs. You go sit in your little portal, and maybe a baked potato will appear or something. But Melanie describes it. It's just a place to focus your energy, to connect with someone that you love. Okay, I get that. I can see that. That's great. But Chad himself, well, I don't know about himself. We have more information about what Chad thought about the portal from several sources. From Ian Pulowski's document that he left accidentally on the laptop, from Natalie Pulowski's statements, from the 7 missions type stuff, a lot of background documentation that has been discovered and is all posted in Discord, by the way. Chad really thought that you could teleport physically through a portal and teleport objects through a portal. Even though Melanie Gibb says to Nate, oh, no, that's not what it means. No. Yeah, that is what he meant. So, yeah. We need to invent a portal palette. Cheryl Ray, yes, we do. We need a portal palette. Let's do that. Let's get on that. Submit your colors. We'll work on a formula. We're going to make a portal palette. There you go. Yeah, I know. Thinking about Chad gives you the heebie-jeebies. It does me too. But, when I close my eyes and think of Chad, all I see is a baked potato with delicious sour cream and bacon and chives and carbs. I want carbs. I need a carb portal, please. Somebody get me a carb portal. Jess Nelson, somebody else we know just made a palette like that. Yeah, let's not use that portal or that palette. Yeah, I can't see, Mommy. I don't believe he really believed that either. I believed it was kind of a work of fiction, and he spun it a little bit out of control, and it just went to crazy town. But do I think, at the end of the day, do I think Chad and Lori sitting in their cells right now believe in portals? Clearly not, or they wouldn't be sitting in their cells. I don't think they believed it as such. I think they believed it as much as they needed to see it as the useful tool that it was for their manipulative game, for their love and sex and drugs and money or whatever it was they were doing. So, I don't think they really believed it. And that is why earlier tonight I said that's why I think Melanie Gibb did really believe it, especially after reading her book. She was in it. She believed it. So Kelly Fitzgerald also needs a carb portal and a liposuction machine. That would be handy. Have both of those. So I'm going to cough one more time. So sorry. All right, there we go. Yes, this cold needs to go. I'm not having any fun. You're wondering, Lori, if Chad are visiting each other. They might be visiting each other through a portal. Maybe they're sitting there in their cells doing their portal meditation. Didn't Pryor ask Melanie if she had beliefs that weren't mainstream? I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. There was some discussion about that, and she said that she was mainstream LDS, not verbatim, but I will double check on that conversation to make sure. I think she was looking for money from insurance policy. Kathleen, yep, that's what I think too. How do you think the church will treat Melanie G? Ooh, Laura, that one's a little bit tough. I'm not sure. Because right now, as of current day, Melanie Gibb is allegedly trying to repent and trying to do the right thing, and has realized her deception, and has woken up and is trying to follow the word of the Book of Mormon. And I don't know. I think the church may just try to hope she just stays quiet and goes away, which she doesn't seem like she's going to do. So, yeah, she will claim everything she can like that so she doesn't get excommunicated. Absolutely. And speaking of self-deception, in Melanie Gibb's book, at one point, when she talks about, she's reading all of these self-help books to really help herself and get better. And one of them is a book on self-deception, how to recognize it and how to stop it and this and that. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good book for you, Melanie. So she's talking about reading this book, and she says, and I quote, "After reading the book about my self-deception, I realized my husband needed to change." I mean, come on. Really? I read a book about self-deception, and it taught me that my husband has a problem. Like, what? I mean, this is why it's going to take me 6 years to finish this book, because I read a couple paragraphs and then you get a gem like that, and you're just like, I can't. This is not right. This is just not right. Robin Lynn, literally verbatim, that is what she wrote in her book. I kid you not. Do you know if they have the internet on their tablet? I don't think they have unfettered access to the internet. No, I do not believe so. It's possible, but for everything I know, they don't. I wonder if Lori is trying to recruit souls in Gen Pop. Most likely, Kathleen, because that would get her a sense of security by making people sort of beholden to her as their spiritual leader. And, I'm sure she is. She probably is. Portal palette featuring Kool-Aid red, orange, and white, stripe, gray, potato brown. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, she's a gatherer, so she probably is. Yeah. Lori committed fraud by collecting Social Security on both kids while they were dead. Yes, she did. Revy Smith, I hope we see charges for that. The tablet are for video calls only, not like every inmate is wandering around with a tablet 24/7. I have no idea how that works. That could be true. I have no idea. Can Chad and Lori speak via telephone since Chad was arrested? Sophie, I don't know. I wouldn't think so, because when the judge said no communication with any other witnesses or anyone involved in this case, that was in regards to the bail restrictions, as in if they bailed out. I don't know if that applies while they are actually incarcerated as far as each other go. I would think it does, but I'll have to ask one of our lawyer friends for some information on that. I don't think they can, but who knows? Melanie G could not mention herself as a devout Mormon multiple times on the stand. She really thinks she was absolved being a very big part of these deaths. Yeah, she did mention herself as devout Mormon on the stand. And I thought John Pryor was quite crafty by getting her to say that on the stand under oath about her, Chad, and Lori, and connecting the Preparing a People events and the Firm Foundation events as being sanctioned by the LDS Church. That's a big deal. And I know it may not make a lot of sense why now, but it will at trial. You are going to hear a lot more about that. So we just got to wait. I saw a picture of her and her family. There was something said in the recorded phone call about being with a man before divorce. Yes. And Melanie Gibb, during that recorded phone call, decided to throw Chad and Lori's affair in their face. Right? And Lori turned it right back around on her and said, oh, something about you have a problem with people being together before they're divorced? Yeah. Melanie Gibb was married with 4 or 5 children. No, I think it's 4 or 5 children. And stuff happened and she left her husband, or her husband left her, whatever. And then she took off to go be with Lori and Chad and go on their merry adventure. Her divorce was not finalized, allegedly, before her and David Warwick hooked up. David Warwick has also been married several times. The current count is 6. That is not verified. But David Warwick has been married and may have been still married at the time when they began their affair. So it's quite possible that both Melanie and David were still married, although separated from their spouses, when they hooked up. And here's Melanie Gibb throwing that at Lori like, you're a core whore because you were still married. And Lori's like, oh, really? Hello? Have you looked in a mirror? And you hear Melanie get very quiet, go, we're not talking about that right now, Lori. I think we know we're not talking about that. And it was like, yeah, can we quit with the holier than thou game? Because she's not. And a lot of people are coming at me saying, Melanie Gibb didn't leave her kids. Well, she's not with her kids. She's not with her ex-husband. They are with him. And you can see a lot of the court stuff on the internet. So yeah, she did. Don't like it. I know, it certainly tarnishes her image, but maybe we should be questioning everyone's image, because not questioning is what led to all of these deaths, really. So, practice your discernment. Go ahead and question everything. It's okay. It's okay to say, Melanie Gibb looks all sweet and pretty, and she quotes lots of scripture and stuff, but there's something funny about her. It's okay to question that and look deeper. Maybe you'll find out there isn't. Maybe you'll find out everything's great. Or maybe you'll find out a lot of stuff that says, yeah, she's not what she appears to be. So that's something that we all have to do. Sounds like the prepper meetings are hookups. Kathleen, it really does. It really does. Because when we look at this case, we have the marriage of, let's start with Ian Pawlowski and Melanie Pawlowski. Now remember, Melanie and Ian say that they met on a dating app 10 days before they got married. Yeah. However, we also know through various documents that have been dug up, mainly by Annie Cushing, who is posting them on True Crime Underground and Facebook, that in March of 2019, Natalie Pawlowski, who was Ian's wife, was labeled as a dark spirit. That was many, many months before Ian and Melanie actually met, allegedly, according to them. They met in November. So if they only met Ian in November, if he didn't know about any of this until November, till he met her on the dating app, why would anyone be calling his wife, Natalie, dark back in March? So that whole thing's a lie. Then you look at Brandon Boudreaux, who was married to Melanie Pawlowski. She just up and left him. She literally left him. She said, I'm leaving. I'm not taking the kids. He was like, okay. And she left him and followed Lori up to Rexburg. Right. And then turned around not long after and married Ian. Why did that all happen? And then Alex marrying Zulema after knowing her for a couple of days or a week or something. And why did Lori leave Charles for Chad? Why did somebody kill Tammy? Why did all these spouses have to get killed or left behind, and children get killed or left behind, so this whole group of couples could be together? What is the real point of that? That's not something that I think we're asking enough, and it's not something that we're even close to answering. But there's a reason that all of these couples had to be together that quickly without any children. It's you think that this is some kind of crazy TV movie drama stuff, but it's not. This is real life. And oh man, life insurance, Grace, life insurance, I'm sure is part of it. I'm sure it was, but you can still get life insurance on Charles and not have to kill Tylee. you get life insurance on Alex and not have to kill JJ. And, why did it have to happen the way it did? All the children had to be left behind, and all the spouses had to be removed or killed. Why did that have to happen? There's a reason that they needed to be all of these adults together with no children. So, yeah, the marriages are way too quick. I mean, yes, Mormons may generally tend to get married more quickly. We even heard that in the Jodi Arias trial, so don't come at me like that's something new. We've been hearing about that for years. But these in particular are ridiculous. So, Fancy Nancy says, that the 144,000 had to have no children. That's possible. It's quite possible that was their reasoning for making sure there were no children around. So, you can't collect SSI if the children's bodies are found. Laura Reiner has finally seen the truth about Melanie Gibb. Okay. That's great. How do you explain Mel P getting preggo of no kids? Kelly, I don't. I have no idea. And Melanie P at one point even tried to get her children back, even though she called 2 of them zombies. So if they had to have no children around, where all of these people left their children to go be with these others, then why did she want those back? And why did she get pregnant again? Do you see, the more questions you ask, the more none of it makes sense. There's something weird going on here. Has Melanie P had the baby yet? Not that I've heard. I still have never verified that she's pregnant. I think she is. Stands to reason, but I haven't heard anything about if she's given birth yet. So we're just going to have to wait and see. If she does give birth, I hope it's a very happy, healthy, beautiful baby, and I hope it's safe. Was there a mission to rid the zombie? Yes, there was. Rose Petal, one of Chad's missions, as described by, I forget if it was Lori or Alex or Chad. Somebody described it, one of them to someone, that part of their mission was to actually rid the world of zombies. It was Melanie Gibb who talks about this, who Chad even had a list of how many zombies were in each state. And it was their mission to go and get rid of all the zombies. So right there, Melanie Gibb knew that their mission was to get rid of all the zombies. What did she think was going to happen when they called Tylee and JJ zombies? Do you see why I'm so mad at her? Man, it's crazy. Let's see. Chad talked about polygamy. Do you think some of these women were married to Chad? Was his hopes? Gail, I would not be the least bit surprised if Chad wanted to do his gathering of 144,000 and then have a polygamous type cult. I think maybe he thought he could pull that off. I don't see how he could have, but maybe. I would not be surprised if that was one of his goals. One of the investigators found Chad's list of zombies. I don't know. Melanie Gibb said she saw it, but I don't know if she had a copy to produce to law enforcement. So, was zombie also code for liberal? Yes, it was. Tess, it was. I've been reading a lot of Chad's stuff. A lot of his posts are still on Avow that you can see. Some have been removed, but some have been screenshotted. And as far as Chad was concerned, if you were a liberal, you were a zombie. Do not let that descend into a political argument in chat. Don't make me turn this car around. Got it? Thank you. Is Alex cleared because of that phone call? No, not exactly. But it certainly muddied that water up a bit, didn't it? 144,000 wives. Yeah. Does law enforcement have Chad and Lori's burner phones? I don't know. I know they have some because they mention like 6 or so in the probable cause affidavit, but the Dateline producer said he saw like a whole ton of them. So I don't know if that was real. If that was just a tweet from the Dateline producer, so we can't take that as fact. Chad was a fiction writer, but found stooges like Lori and Melanie had the end of day fantasies, and all of a sudden he can meet chicks. Joe Pod, that's it. Exactly. He was a fiction writer who was just trying to play with the big boys. Remember some of his friends like Jason Mao had the big Warrior Up stuff, and even though he wasn't podcasting yet, he has several books out, and he's like, I want to be in on that. I want to play too, right? So he's going to write some books, right? Isn't that great? But once he finds this crazy fan club of like Lori and Melanie, then he was like, hey, and yeah, that I absolutely agree. That's what happened with Chad. 100%. Every dude wants to practice polygamy. Yeah. I take objection to your joking about Melanie Gibb's book. You may not be familiar with the scriptures, but we are told to pray in our closets morning and night. All right, Linda. First, I didn't know that you were told to pray in your closets. Okay. And Melanie Gibb's book, part of it is really funny. It really is. You know, saying I read my book about self-deception and realized my husband had to change. Can you not see the humor in that? You know, that is funny. But one thing that I have found, Linda, and this may be a controversial statement, but a lot of people of the LDS faith are incredibly defensive when somebody mentions something about their faith. Now, I'm talking about Melanie Gibb's book and some of the things that she said in the book. Right? I'm not bashing Mormons, but to me, from someone who is not religiously minded, I don't believe in organized religion, anyone telling me I have to sit in my closet for 6 hours a day for 3 months, no, I think that's crazy. I'm not going to do that. So I find that funny that anyone would spend 6 hours a day in a closet praying, because I don't think God lives in my closet. That's my personal belief on the divine. I don't think he's in there. So, you know, so please don't get so defensive about it. You lighten up a little bit, because there are times when some things are funny and I can still think it's funny, but respect your beliefs. Okay. So let's kind of just chill on the whole defensive thing. Man, people have been coming at me left, right, and center about Mormonism lately, and I have been one of the very few channels who have said from day one, we are not bashing Mormonism. I respect all religions. But yeah, you know what? There's some funny things. It's funny, and it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person to laugh once in a while. It doesn't make me a bad person for laughing. It's funny, you know? Maybe I should spend some time in my closet and I wouldn't be quite as humorous. Just a thought. But yeah. Chad was a publisher, but he's not Random House. Yep. He was the kind of publisher that authors pay to get their drivel in print. Absolutely, Joe Pa. When we look at, there's an interview that Nate Eaton did with Suzanne Freeman. She was a near-death experience LDS author, and she did 2 interviews with Nate. And I urge you, if you're interested, to watch both of them, because they're pretty different. They're pretty different. But she was one of those authors who, I think she was the first book that Chad published, was Suzanne Freeman's book. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I have not read Suzanne Freeman's book or books, and I'm not going to, because she's very loosely conditioned. I'm not even really connected to the case at all. But yes, I agree with your assessment on that. Sam is not going back into the closet. You don't have to, Sam. We're glad you're out. We want you to stay out here with us. I've tried very hard to be respectful of the LDS Church, Miss Sophia. I really have. And sometimes I just laugh. It may be inappropriate. You can call me a heretic. I don't mind. You know, it's okay with me. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with laughing. Let's see. It's not Mormonism. It's in the scriptures. Well, how is it different? If something's in the scriptures, that makes it part of the religion. No, I thought. Anyway, let's move on. Melanie G left her husband and kids to hang out with the cheating portal. Yeah, she did. And she talks a lot in her book about how she really, really dislikes being a parent. And she had a very, very hard time with her children. And she was angry with them all the time. Very, very, very angry. And so, yeah, there's a lot in this book that's disturbing. Tom says, hi, Jess. Tom says hi to Jess, right? I see you, Tom. Tom could say hi to Awen. Hi, Tom. I got out of work early and drove with lack of respect for law and order. Oh, don't admit that in a live stream, Tom. But Tom is the husband of one of my mods. He is a dear friend of the channel. Hi, Tom. I'm really glad you're here. I don't just pick on random strangers. We know Tom. It's okay. Sam says, Awen. Yes. Sam says, hi, Tom. Okay, so I missed it if you were saying something to me. Could the friction between Tylee and Melanie be due to Tylee seeing Melanie coming into their lives being the cause of Lori getting sucked into their wacky group of Armageddon preppers? Joe, I think this is the first time we've met. Joe Pa. I like you, Joe Pa. You've had some really great comments so far. Yeah, we should probably talk. The friction between Tylee and Melanie was very interesting for me to see the way that Pryor brought it up and got it on the record. Right, he wanted to introduce this onto the record, and he did. And Melanie got very cagey when he was asking her about that. And I have a couple different thoughts on that. Certainly, I'm going to lean more towards Annie Cushing and her opinion of that, because she was Tylee Ryan's aunt, Joseph Ryan's sister. But also what I know about Melanie wanting to be the you know, well, how can I say it? She had a messianic complex. Basically, she wanted to be the one to walk in and just be glowing with light, and everyone flocked to her and healed them with her hands and stuff. I think Melanie may have tried that with Tylee, and Tylee was like, "Oh, please, I get enough of this crap from my mom." Tylee was a little outspoken. She was a little feisty. Her and Lori butted heads a lot about this stuff. We even have the recording or Melanie saying, that Lori was telling her about Tylee was a zombie, and Tylee's like, "Not me, Mom." So that could have been what happened and why they did not get along. But the fact that they didn't get along is going to be a problem. And now I know a lot of people don't agree with me on this, but wait till trial. If Melanie is called as a witness to trial, Pryor is going to hammer on that really hard. He is going to try and show that Melanie absolutely knew about the zombie thing and what it meant for Tylee, and that maybe she didn't intervene because she didn't care, because she hated Tylee. I think that's what Pryor might do. So that's a big deal. That's something to keep your eye on. Okay. And that could be very problematic for the state. And I don't want any problems for the state. I do not. So that's a big deal. Whoever asked about Alex in chat, talking about the phone call between Lori and Daybell's, Lori claims Alex has no knowledge of where JJ is. Yes, she did, which is a problem because certainly that was a very powerful phone call for the state, because that kind of is going to make it a lot more difficult for Chad and Lori to say Alex did everything. It wasn't us. We didn't know anything. Alex, and there they are on record saying that. So, yeah, that's a very good point for the state. Problem for the other side. Ann Pena says, let me have a drink here. Yes, Melanie Gibb did have an autistic child, and so do I, just to make that clear for transparency. She should have just said, I have nothing in common with a 16-year-old girl. Yeah, MJ DeBella, that would have been the perfect response. And I think if she had adequate legal representation, that's probably what she would have said. They might have prepped her for a question like that. So, what is this? Ooh, can you guys see this? Oh, I think I just heard it too. Let me show. Whoa. Oh, the green screen is making that all messy. Anyway, there's a huge line of thunderstorms, and now my camera's all messed up. I'm sorry. I should not have been. There we go. That's better. There's a huge line of thunderstorms coming in. It's looking pretty nasty. I'm sorry I messed up my camera. That looks terrible. But my husband is kind of telling me that I need to go because we have to get ready for these storms. Because I do live in Tornado Alley, so I should probably go pay attention to the storms. Yeah, it's kind of a day. But maybe that'll bring the cold front. We've had heat indexes of up to like 118 degrees this week. And yesterday, the local news was like, yay, cold front coming on Monday. I'm like, cold front? Yippee. It's going to be 98 tomorrow and only 70% humidity. So, yay, cold front for me. Are you serious? It's not a cold front. But yeah, I got to get off the computer. We're going to go batten down the hatches and check the storm warnings or tornado warnings and stuff. So thank you all for being here. I'm sorry I got to run, but, I don't want to play Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz that bad. But thank you. There's more content coming. More live streams next week. We'll keep you up on all the news. Joe Pa, thank you so much. Please feel free to email me in the below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And thank you. That is the biggest super chat I've ever had in my life. Please give Joe all the s'mores. And Danielle, thank you so much. Melanie published her book on her own as Gibb Publishing. Excellent. Danielle, thank you so much. I was really wondering because I could find nothing in the book that said that. So thank you for answering that mystery for me. Great. All right. Thank you guys much. I got to go before I get blown out of here. So I'm sorry to chat and run, but I love you all. I will talk to you very soon.